Hello everybody, it's VerticalSandwich. Welcome to Let's Play Assassin's Creed 2. So this is a post-commentary, very heavily edited video. Here's a feather, we're doing feather collection, and this will be all the locations in Florence. So this one's right by Da Vinci's lab in Florence. And what you'll see is, you're gonna see the camera changes, or the map changes, where I put markers where all of the locations are, and if then I skip to a second location, that means I'd already gotten it during the Let's Play. So in this case, the next one is located here. And then I apparently already got the one that's sitting there. You can see where Ezio is in the map. So now we'll go to the one after that, and we will check all 27 locations that way. So again, I'd already gotten that one there. Eventually, I take the markers off the map. Like the markers for like barbers and things like, not barbers, but like blacksmiths and stuff like that. Alright, so this is the first one where we hadn't gotten it. So there it is. The only exception to this is that there's one there's one on top of that big church in the middle of town, and I didn't climb back up there to check to see if I got it. I just assumed I'd gotten it. But I do move the marker there and stuff. And then I show the dome, because I was assuming I'd go like, oh, it's up there. But it's one of the more obvious ones in the level. I don't know if the map I used dealt with the first two either. Or the first three or whatever, the ones you get for your brother that start this whole quest off. Because those are not optional. So there's one over here on this bridge. It would be very hard to find. Like, I mean, look where it is. It's crazy. So, there's that. So really going through Venice is going to be the huge part of this. Like, the huge problem. This took me more than a day to do, and it's really hard to edit these videos together this way. It's so much chopping. So much of this is just spent with you running around that there's a lot of just cutting things out. I mean, even looking for this, even knowing where it is and looking for it, you could very easily miss it, especially in the daytime. So there we are. You can see where we are. If I wasn't on the marker like that, I did try to move it. I wasn't perfect with this. I was just going along, reading a map, clicking on things as I went, recording the whole thing, knowing I could cut it down to something else later. So here's the one that was on top of the... Yeah, there's one up there. Which would be a very easy one to get after the secret, but when you have to climb the whole building. So then on the wall over here, there's one on, like... There we go. There it is. One of the locations that I got, that it just showed, was this jail area over here, and we got that That's where they imprison your father. When they imprison him there. So you'd either get it there or when you're doing the viewpoint. Now, I'm not so sure that I was as good about other cities showing every single one. But in Monteriggione, I think I showed all the locations where there should have been one. Because there's only 5. For maps for this, I would strongly suggest the website Super Cheats, by the way. Super Cheats tends to be pretty good about stuff like this. If you want a text walkthrough, I would always suggest GameFAQs. But if you want maps and stuff, Super Cheats has been very good for this game anyway. Like, all their glyph stuff was really good. And by glyph stuff, I mean just the locations and the maps and stuff, because I only looked up 1 or 2 puzzle solutions, I think. Usually matching paintings. Yeah, I decided to show, I tried to show all locations because I know results will vary, right? As you're doing the missions I'm doing, you won't encounter the same feathers. You won't do the same, you know, if I found a feather while I was running from some guards, you wouldn't run in the same way. This one was really hard for me to get. I like fell down and had to kill a bunch of guards and stuff. It was so crazy. So there was like there was an edit there that cut out like a minute and a half of me just like fighting with people. Alright, so now we're going to count. I think we have 21 at this point. Out of the ones in Florence. Yeah, 21 out of 27. So 6 more to find. A lot more locations to check, but 6 more that we haven't gotten. The last one you cannot get until you learn the side run ability. Although you may inherently have the side run ability, and the game just teaches you to do it. So you may be able to do it from like day 1. I don't know. I mean, if you're me and you've never played this game, you wouldn't really know. It's going to be interesting eventually when I play the later games in this series and they add way more stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, I didn't get good at the first stuff. Like, now you're adding all this new stuff. Because I'm sure they will. How could they not? Although I do feel pretty comfortable playing this game now. Which is, because I remember it being very awkward. Being like, this is very strange. And now the movement makes sense. I mean, I have some problems with it, don't get me wrong. Sometimes he targets things that I don't want him to. And the battle system can be a little bit complicated. I tend to not practice moves enough to actually, you know, make them habit. Like, I couldn't disarm a guard right now. Like, I've had to do it in a couple circumstances, but I just never memorized the button combination, and I'm like a Nintendo Sega Genesis kid, so, like, it's hard for me to deal with trigger buttons, or, like, yeah, shoulder buttons, or whatever they call them. So yeah, it's like that's why sometimes you'll see me during battles, like you'll see the weapon menu pop up randomly, is because I'm trying to hit a different shoulder. Like I'm trying to hit a different, like instead of hitting R2, I hit R1 or something. So this is a little series of ones we clearly have already gotten. These were divided, by the way, unlike super cheats, these were divided by district, so you could do them as the game progressed. So there's like, you know, the first 13 or whatever that you can get right when the game starts, and then the next time you open a section of Florence, you could get the next section of them, and then when you get to Monteriggione, you could get, you know, things like that. But I just went in the order they had them. It makes Venice a little harder. Because instead of going from one side all the way over to the other, you're jumping around a little bit. But you can see that I did remove all the other markers. The ones that I did not need. Because I did not need them.
I say, he's certainly agile.
Oh, there's one. Yeah, at some point I stop. I only do the night vision when it's, or the eagle vision when I think they're hard to see. This one is a little tricky. You can see where I am there. Things like that are done just truly to help you. Like, put them in there so you can see where my Ezio marker is. Man, you could run by this every day, like the entire game, every like daytime, and you would never see that. There's two of them in front of windows like that. One we'd already gotten. And then there was one on top of this. I actually just put it in there because I remember getting it, but it's a pretty obvious one. You'll see it during a mission if you're paying any kind of attention. That La Volpe thing when you're chasing him around. You start in this area. Man, that was so long ago. That was 100 videos ago. Well, not 100. Something like 80 probably, but. Alright, and so there's one on the front of this church. Like, there's no platform where you would get this one, and I don't know how you do it. I died. I mean, maybe there's a climb up, or maybe if I had pushed the grab thing on the way down. But I don't know what I was thinking. Like, it's all the way up there. Maybe you can just climb straight up this pillar. Well, I obviously wasn't having any luck with it. Now, if you die, and you desync, you've still collected the feathers you've collected. So dying on this feather is not a deal breaker. So I probably could have grabbed the ledge if I'd been fast, but I wasn't. So, there you go. Now I'm dead. I did have to check. I did make it a point to check that I still had all my feathers and that one. I mean, we get 100 feathers. Like, I can spoiler alert that at this point. It's not spoiler alert if you say the spoiler alert after you say the thing. But, yeah, I mean, I complete the 100 feather collection, and it actually works out really well. Like, I didn't miss anything and have to go back. I was shocked, because in any other collection, like 100 things in any of the Grand Theft Auto games or something, I always end up missing one and don't know where it is. The worst thing ever is missing an oyster in GTA San Andreas and not knowing where it is. That's horrendous. There should be a law. So now our last one's all the way over on the western wall and is actually like a fun little challenge. Like, this was the only one I really kind of enjoyed the way it was set up. I was just like, oh, that makes sense. Because it's just, there's a series of pegs where you have to run up the wall and jump sideways from the wall to get to the top one. It's only like 3 pegs. But there's no other really good way to get there, so. So there we go. Alright, so that's all of the feathers in Florence. So when we come back, it looks like from the titles of my videos, we'll be doing Tuscany next. And whatever else we can fit on there. We might get all the way to Venice in the next video, I don't know. But I'll see you guys for that. And thank you for watching. Bye, everybody.